whispers in the deep dark night. Shadows dancing.
Welcome to the AI Riff, where we cut through the noise and break down the top AI stories of the week with real talk and real relevance. No hype, no fluff, just a vendor-agnostic take on what's actually shaping your world today. Whether you're in tech, lending, or just trying to make sense of the headlines, we're here to separate the wheat from the chaff and the facts from the fiction. Now let's get this started with your hosts, Mario Diabenedetto, Rob Katz, and me, Kyle Myers. We hope you enjoy this episode of the AI Riff.
Welcome to episode 59. I got no fun facts for episode 59.
We're getting closer to my age, but not there yet.
Are you going to tell us if you actually hit it, or are you just going to be like, warmer?
No, I'm going to let them know that, well, they know now that I'm at least 59, so, you know.
Oh, wait, I think we all knew that.
You know what's going to be funny is when we do episode 60, I'm 60. When we do episode 61, I'll be 61. Boom!
Birthday coming up. That's what I hear.
We have a big delay between episodes?
Yes.
No, my
Yes.
birthday.
We're waiting a year?
Weeks.
Yeah.
A full Rob calendar year.
That's right.
Yeah, that's great.
These are
Awesome.
old.
I know.
Hey.
I know.
Well, what are we going to talk about today besides birthdays?
I'm going to get into that, but first we have to have our key drinking word. You know, the word that, if we repeat it 5 times, people have to start drinking during the podcast.
Okay.
I've
Drinking water?
I've been told that we kind of get latched onto words and maybe say them a few times over our 25 minutes. So,
Well, for this week, we can't say it's Klarna because Klarna would be bad. I overused that word, and we can't use it again.
so what we'll do is we'll define the drinking word at the end. That doesn't work.
No, that doesn't work.
Today, we are talking about...
Oh, I know what we can do. Sorry, I know what we can do. We can have in post-show production, we can just put the word on the screen so people watching it can know what the drinking word is.
Kyle can whisper over, today's drinking word is...
That's right.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Why don't I just do it now?
Like an in password?
Word is...
Exactly. For those that don't know, Kyle is the voice of the podcast.
I honestly think it is so hard because we go all over the board. I wouldn't want to define the word in the beginning because then I'm going to end up using it. I know I'm going to use it multiple times.
You can't help yourself. So today we are talking watermarks.
Watermarks.
And it's crazy because watermarks used to, like, in the olden days, watermarks were actually a thing on a piece of paper. Like it was something, that was like a faint background image that protected your intellectual property or something like that. But today we're talking AI watermarks. And it's super cool. I'm going to go out on a limb and say I think it's a super good thing. But the short part of this story is that the EU has some AI laws that they have suggested the AI companies have to follow. Anthropic is the first of... Most of them are saying they're going to follow the law. And embedded in most of what comes out of the Anthropic models is watermarked content so that other things can tell it was written by AI. So there's an invisible watermark that is the stamp that says this thing was created by AI. And it survives copy paste, and it even survives quite a bit of editing by humans before it says, it loses its watermark.
What is quite a bit of editing? Because at what point do you change a sentence or two and all of a sudden then someone says, hey, this was AI. It's like, well, AI helped me write it, and then I modified it to make it correct because it was wrong.
So
how do
first
you
of all,
that?
I'm going to tell you the answer, but I'm not going to tell you the answer because we're going to have a little fun with getting to the answer to that. But on its face, it's like, oh, this thing was written by AI. But Kyle, I think you just hit on what is really the key part, which is it doesn't say it's all written by AI. It says this was drafted by AI. It doesn't say that a human didn't change 2 words, 20 words, 200 words, right? It's basically just a baseline to say this came from AI at its origin. Where it went from there, it doesn't tell you, right? It's not a dynamic watermark that says I've been edited. That's a different thing in your file, right? So we have to be careful about what it's telling us.
Yeah. So Marty, you started off with you think this is a good thing, but the way you just described it, is it really a good thing? You know, the analogy that I like is the axe, right? I got an axe. I like to chop down trees with my axe. It's a great axe. And I'm smacking at the tree one day and I chip the blade. So I go to Home Depot and I buy a new blade. I keep the handle, just get a new blade for my axe. And then I take it home and I'm chopping trees. It's my favorite axe. I'm loving the thing. And I hit something wrong and the handle snaps. And I go to Home Depot and I buy a new handle and I attach this new handle to my axe head. Is it still my axe? So you got this, right? It's not, right? So you got this thing that was AI gave me something and maybe I took 5% of it, but rewrote 95% of it, but somehow it still says that, hey, AI helped draft this thing.
That's right. That's right.
How is that meaningful? How's that valuable? How is that good, right?
It may not be.
Yeah, I'm going to argue that, okay, most of us use Microsoft Word. And you're typing a document in Microsoft Word and you spell a word wrong. Little red line underneath it shows you spelled it wrong. So you right click on it and you correct you correct the word. Should my message or my document have a footnote that says spelling corrected by Microsoft Word?
Yeah, Rob Katz does not know how to spell.
Yeah,
it's like,
which is a true statement, by the way.
But look, I know you're making fun of that, but why not?
Because
why not?
that I use.
Why not track? Why not track
for what purpose?
Wait. I'm going to tell you why not. Because of what Kyle just said. Do I want people out in the real world to know that I don't know how to spell? And
that's on you.
The words I type have red underlines on them until I fix them?
That's on you. And
that's not their business.
But let's take it out so maybe nobody can find it, but it's stored in the file that that happened.
Why, man? It's my personal
Why
business.
not?
It's a tool.
Why
I'm
not?
using a tool.
If you had a mortgage system and somebody used a document to automatically overlay a piece of data and it said the document wins and it automatically rewrote it over your loan file value, you'd want to know that it overwrote it, wouldn't you?
Yes,
yeah,
I think you're bringing in a totally different.
Am I?
Yeah.
Am I?
So a letter of explanation is written by AI because they put in the factors. This is what happened. This is why I missed my payment. This is why I did this. And AI spits out a glorious letter of explanation that it knows will probably be good enough to suffice to explain for an underwriter. Did they just do something that was fraudulent?
I don't know. That's a great question for an auditor, right? An auditor has to determine, is it the AI that is the problem here? Or is it the person who allowed AI to have any part in writing a letter of explanation when it shouldn't have in the first place? Like, I'm not an auditor. I don't know the answer to that. But that's a great use case because that is one where you would say, I want zero AI. This must be a genuine letter written by the person on their own with no substantive help that explains their situation. And I'm making that up. Like, that may not be a true auditor expectation on that.
But let me flip it around on you. And it's sounding like Mario and I are on different ends of the spectrum on this thing, and I don't know if we are or we are, but it's kind of fun, right? So let me go the other way and say that I'm a loan officer and I'm working with a borrower, and they've got incredibly complex self-employed income, and they got some W-2 stuff over there, and they got some money coming in from dad and all this other stuff. And it's overwhelming to me to try to figure out how to craft a summary to them of how we are interpreting all their income stuff. So I run over to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever, and I click my little button, and it proposes this email that I can send out, and I read through it as a licensed loan officer, and I go, that is brilliant. I could not have written that better myself. This is an excellent explanation.
Yes.
And I send that off to the borrower, and the borrower opens it up and says, the following message was written by AI. And I'm like, Well, AI is slop. I can't believe anything. It hallucinates, so they discard reading this amazing message that the loan officer, as a human being, audited and approved and clicked the send button on. So
Well-
how is that positive? How is that a good thing?
So first of all, it doesn't have to tell the borrower that it was written by AI. They could use a tool and say, "I'm going to find out that the person used AI."
Well,
on-
for sure,
yeah.
email, you can see it as an add-on in your Gmail or your Outlook that's like toggle on.
So,
Do you
no,
know this is written
so
by AI?
side point. There's already a startup who's got the idea of being able to scrape this out, right?
Okay.
So we can take the watermarks out, so that people can, say I can deliver something and then get the watermark pulled off.
And I'm sure that was a student working in their dorm room because they don't want to turn in papers.
So,
that show us watermark.
I would imagine, not to make your use case really extreme, but I would imagine that as a licensed loan officer or an underwriter who was looking at something that summarized a loan program, a credit decision, or something like that, that you are actually going to have to make some attestation that you not only reviewed it, but that you agree with everything in it. And I think that's a little bit different, and that's okay, right? If AI does something and the human does the full attestation that says, I have actually done a thorough review and everything's good, that's fantastic. If you hand a borrower something AI generated and they don't have the wherewithal and the expertise to know what was, what the words, like the relevance and why it's done this way and everything, I think that's leading the witness, right? And I do think that's a problem that you might want to say, maybe you shouldn't have AI do it that all by itself. So, and that's what's cool about this, right? This is something that could be great, and it could be a total pain. Like, people are going right to the schoolwork. Like, oh, so somebody, Joey hands in his term paper, and it's 20 pages, and it says it was written by AI. Well, maybe he used AI along the way, like you were saying, right? He used for parts of it, but maybe he's got all his own ideas. Like, what percent of AI is allowable in somebody writing something? Because I use a lot of AI when I write stuff.
Well, it depends on what it's for. If it's writing something to test your knowledge and your grasp on something, they want you to write it because you can convey. Now, if you're an eloquent writer, or I don't know if that's the right term for it, but if you can write so beautifully that people understand what you're saying right when they start reading the letters, then your ability to convey what you learned from something in a book or from a lecture or from a class is not hard. But if you struggle with that, but your grade could be improved, you've got the core down, and you write the core, and you say, AI, dress this up a little bit, make it more smooth around the edges. I just don't. It's your content. You're just making it more.
So
You're not asking it to edit it or to make it say something different. You're just asking to say the same thing in a different way.
So if I'm regurgitating something, I'm all for using AI because I'm not. There's nothing novel about.
Can they have a regurgitated watermark or?
We'll get there.
It's like a little vomit face. The little emoji.
But if I'm supposed to be coming up with a novel idea, I actually don't mind that AI was involved in it. AI
that was
writing,
my next thing is who cares?
AI writing really eloquently about an idea that I came up with that I think is a novel idea and it helps me to frame it and put it together. I think that's a fantastic thing. And I do that all day. I do that for the Inside the Riff. I go back and forth with the ideas with AI and we craft, like, where's this article going and why is this important and do this. And it helps me do all that. And then it's really doing a lot of the heavy lifting on laying out the article. And then I'll just go through, clean up, say things the way I want to say it, put it in my voice, and I'm done. Right. And I think that's okay because while it's doing a lot of writing, it's not solely responsible for getting to the point of what's the point of this article.
Right. And that's the lending industry, right? You have any AI inside your four walls and the new guidelines say you're responsible for it. You're responsible for the output. So having the human in the loop to say, yeah, that looks right, and sends it on, they didn't have to do the work, but they had to review what was coming out. They had to review the product. I can understand having a watermark if you're looking at it from that perspective, saying you've got to have a human look at this. And I almost think the watermark should be more detailed in the sense of this was unedited, which means it was never reviewed, it was never you just forwarded it on. I think that kind of watermark is valid. But as soon as you modify that document, I think the watermark should change to this document was edited, modified with AI, but not created.
So
Can you explain how this watermark works?
I can, and I'll just say there's other standards to keep track of whether somebody has edited a document or not, right? And who, like, whether modifications were made to a piece of a document. There's standards for doing that. So honestly, this is mind blowing, and it's the stuff that, like, when you look at AI and you're like really wowed by the math behind how these people did it. To me, this was the same thing when I read how they do this. So given the opportunity to write something using certain words, AI, as Anthropic's version does it, AI chooses a certain set of words that over the course of a certain sequence form an invisible watermark. So it's literally saying, I'm going to weave in and specifically use this word here, this word here, this word here, that word there, and that word there. And together, in their formation and where they show up, is going to give me, only I know that fits the pattern of the fact that I know that makes my watermark. So
it's like a fingerprint.
It's like a fingerprint woven with specific words in specific places in whatever it writes, and only it knows what they are. So you don't really know if I edit this word, does it disturb it or not?
Wow.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go with National Treasure and Nicolas Cage. You know, it's like,
Well, so I don't understand how that remains in place if you edit.
Well, it depends on what you edit. And I don't know how many words it takes, and I don't know if you do 1,000 word thing versus 100 words, does it like have a different volume? I don't know those details. I imagine it does, right? That there's a deeper watermark fingerprint for a bigger document, right? Because it has to be more pervasive, and more likely to survive minor editing, right? So that it stays a watermark. It separately but related, it just is one of those things where you're like, wow, these people doing the AI are really smart, and that's it's a little scary. I'm a little worried about the other things they might be weaving into this, but
well,
the other side of it is what is this doing to my token burn? Are they? This is an algorithm. This is a significant change. I shouldn't say significant because I don't know. It is a change to the algorithms that adds a level of complexity to the word selection. Remember, all this generative AI is doing is randomly picking words out of a list and weighting probability and stuff like that. So if it's now adding an additional layer of every 25th word has to be from this now restricted list or this number of characters or whatever the code is, it's got to be, it's adding to the complexity. And the more complexity, the more tokens you're burning, and the more expensive, and the more water you're using, the more heat, the more energy, all that other stuff, right?
You're on a fixed plan. What do you care?
For now.
yeah.
Except when it says out of tokens for the day.
Yeah,
right.
until it says out of tokens, then you're not on a fixed plan. You're on a broken plan. No.
Right. It's like the toothpaste company that just made the hole a little bigger in the top of the tube, so everyone uses a little bit more toothpaste every day, right? So,
Oh, that's ingenious.
yeah, that's what they did.
So should lenders be worried about this? Should they celebrate this? Should borrowers, will they even care?
I think it's good. That's a really good question. I think that it depends on what you're trying to use. I see your point now from the start. We say, hey, this is a good thing because it does introduce the ability to do some level of audit functionality on content to help derive where did that content come from and is it reliable content. The other side of it is this might just be a very short-term problem that this is trying to solve, because my experience with the content being generated by the tools today compared to 6 months ago, the quality of the writing, the lack of em dashes, the patterns that it's writing in now, it's better. So you don't think so?
So I got to tell you, I have people I work with. I can tell everything's when it's written by AI. I can just tell.
I think it's their prompt. It's prompt engineering.
It absolutely is.
Yeah.
It's part of me. So there's different scenarios. There's scenarios like you said where I don't necessarily know all these details and I have to trust. I would want to know that something's written by AI if I'm having to be trusting of what I'm reading in that sense. But otherwise, I just want well-written stuff. I don't care how it gets to well-written. I want something that conveys the topic efficiently, creatively, whatever I'm looking for at the time, right? I just want it to be well-written. I honestly don't care where it came from. Right, and this is a law, right? It's an EU law that they're just blanket imposing. They could probably turn it off in the U.S. It's an EU law that you have to be able to say something that was drafted with AI was drafted with AI, right? That AI was involved, and
Is that about copyright? Because couldn't you go the other way too? When AI uses something that's copyrighted, doesn't it have to watermark the like if you quote a article that was written in the Wall Street Journal in some way in your response to someone, do you have to quote? Do you have to say it was in the Wall Street Journal? Do you have to say, you have to
I don't know where the law is that's going to impose that, but man, the AI companies have already they've blasted through that door and they've stolen everything on the planet already, and it's like, good luck taking it back from us.
Yeah.
So
I know where the dog's getting walked pretty hard here. So
yeah, I know. Philosophical question for you though is, I pay a monthly fee to have Microsoft Excel, and with Excel I build spreadsheets that are reports and stuff like that, and I produce that report and I send it to a client, and they don't know if it was made in. I printed it to a PDF. They don't know if it was made in Excel or Google Sheets or I did it by hand and something like that, and it's none of their business. So I pay a subscription to Anthropic or ChatGPT, and I use it as a tool, and it gives me output, and I deliver that output to my client. Yeah, I paid for a tool. Why do I have to expose to the client that I use that tool?
This hole was dug with a shovel.
So
It's like,
it is a philosophical question, and I agree. Like I could make, I don't know, I'd want to spend a lot more time thinking about this one, but I could make the argument that the U.S. could easily come up with a law that says what you just said. You absolutely have no responsibility to ever disclose how you produced something, whether it was AI or not, and basically force the companies to have one law in Europe and one law in the U.S. Like that wouldn't shock me because of the freedom to kind of do what you want that we try to instill in our capitalist, society, that we think, that is the right way. It shouldn't matter. It was produced. Okay. As long as it was legally produced.
I agree with Rob. I think it's none of their business. I'm a bit of a hands off with government poking their nose and stuff. And I don't understand why the EU is poking its nose into Google that way. There had to have been some impetus for it. Like, what was the impetus for the law? What caused it? What was the event that they said, oh, you're producing AI pictures of naked people with, whatever? Is that what they did?
There was some level of, they were trying to protect something. And so I'll remark, let's take that as when we do our Inside the Riff article that follows every episode, we'll go deeper on that. Right? The Inside the Riff article will explore, why is the EU doing this at all? And what do they think they're doing to benefit? And let's see if there's also a counterculture, right?
But don't check the watermark on that article.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance. Well, don't check it on our Substack because I definitely use AI to help write it.
that California is going to sign up pretty quick, right? California likes to follow what the EU does.
They do. Yeah. So,
any follow-up questions for us there?
Mario, no, I think that was our exit question. I think Rob gave the exit question today.
Awesome.
Today's drinking word is.
I have no idea what the drinking word's going to be.
Today's drinking word is substance.
Why don't we run the transcript of the pod through a chat GPT and ask it to tell us what drinking word we should have?
There you go.
You'll have to put it in the description of the pod so people.
Why are people drinking when they're
that's
walking
too
their
much
dog?
work.
It sounds like
That's
a
too
bad
much
idea.
work.
We are not promoting responsible dog walking.
No, because you shouldn't have your beverage out in public with your, although
People
You know,
are hanging up on us right now. by
some
the
of the
way.
things that
They're-
I
they're
drink
like,
look like water. So,
turn them off. Cue the music.
well, on that note, I'm Kyle Myers.
I'm Rob Katz.
And I'm still Mario De Benedetto.
You reached it, and I still got it.
And this has been the AI Riff.